Is here today as we chat to you about what's going on. Paulie in Connecticut, Mad Dog Unleashed. Hello, Paul. Welcome. How are you today, pal? What's going on?
How you doing, dog?
Fine, Paul. You called today. Let me hear your thoughts on the contest. Go ahead.
Well, first I want to just say I've been with you and Mike from the beginning. When you left, I didn't want to pay for Sirius Radio, so I stood with Mike. And then a month before Mike left, I was telling my wife, what the hell am I going to listen to? So she went out and got me the subscription to Sirius for a whole year in my car, and now I listen to you. And
well, how about that? So what? The missus helped you out. You got a Christmas gift from basically a Christmas gift. So you got Sirius in your car. It is a great service if you like radio, Paul. You'd have to admit that for sure.
I love it, and the thing is that about that caller, it was, and I want to just say this too. And the guys who run the phones there are amazing. I listened to you for the fan forever. I could never get in. I got in every day this week. Every time I got in. So the other caller said it took them 90 minutes. And I got in, and I was on the phone maybe for 15 minutes before I got in.
Well, there you go. Don't forget, 9 lines here. Most talk shows only have 4 or 6 are terrestrial. We have 9.
On the phone. I got in every day.
So there you go. That's good. So it was doable to get in. All right, what else? Let me hear. What do you want done with the contest? Anything differently?
Yeah, this is the thing. Torre was right. If you won before, I know it's harsh, but you got a lot of listeners. If you won before, you cannot win again. And that caller who said he started with you from '08 was listening to you till now, and you asked, oh, did you ever win? And he goes, no, this is the first time I'm calling. How could you be the first time you're calling for this Super Bowl thing, and you've been listening to you for 10 years? That just sounds so fishy.
Yeah, that's the guy who won the last contest, CJ? Or TJ? Whatever his name is. You're talking about him, or you're talking about Robert from California a few minutes ago?
One of them who went all the way to the fourth, but he didn't end up winning.
Oh, that one. Yeah. All of a sudden he chimed in. I wish I had a solution for it. The thing I don't like is it, as we've mentioned that word, the spirit. Good-natured spirit was compromised here this year. That's the thing that bothers me. Here's Craig in the Bronx, New York, and he's with us here. He's on Mad Dog Unleashed, and he, to get the button pressed properly, says hello. Craig, good afternoon. How are you today?
Not bad, Doggy. First off, let me just say, for you, Torre, everybody involved in putting this show together, in no way feel like you guys, should be down in the dumps. In no way. The contest was great again this year. Everything you guys did was great. You had a few, dopes in the mob or whatever that did their usual tricks. So you guys all great. Now, before I give you a little solution, let me just ask you one question. Did you get all the correct answers to the Mary Tyler Moore questions?
I didn't ask all of the questions to Mary Tyler Moore. The ones I asked, eventually they got them all right, but there was still about 20 of them that I didn't ask.
All right, so they got Harold Gold for...
No, they didn't get Harold Gould. I only asked that once. They did not get it. They also did not get Nancy Walker, who was Rhoda's mother in that show. Didn't get that either.
Yeah, what about, did you have this one? Who was the only other person to appear in every episode besides Mary Tyler Moore?
I didn't... who was that? It had to be... Who was it?
It's not one of the main ones. It's the lady Hazel Frederick. She was in the opening scene coming out of the department store when Mary throws her hat in the air.
Oh, that's right. I do know that. I do know the lady you're talking about. I didn't know her name, but I have heard that. Good job there, Craig. All right, how about the contest now? Fire away.
All right, here's what you do. You let everyone know from before the contest starts. If you won this thing before, I don't care if it was last year or 8 years ago, we're only giving away 1 ticket per contest every year to previous winners. And the previous guys got to win it on the first day when the questions are still fresh and hard. And so if you're a previous winner, you got 1 shot the first day. If not, don't bother calling.
Well, you could do that too. You know that, Eddie? That's another good suggestion. Good job. You can have like 1 day dedicated to the previous winners and do it the opening day, which is the hardest because you don't know what the questions are. Write that suggestion down. That's a good suggestion by Craig. So you can do an audio aspect for the contestants, or you can do the previous winners Get them a day by themselves, at least part of the day, and that's the only day they can play because it's harder. Because obviously it gets a little easier as you go along as you know the questions. That's not a bad suggestion. Here's Chris in Winter Park, Florida. Mad Dog Unleashed. Christopher, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hey, when you're coming down this way back to Rollins, there's a lot of construction down here.
Yeah, I know. Rollins College, my old neck of the woods. I wanted my child to go there. He ended up going to Tampa instead. So there you go. Go ahead. What's on your mind today?
Well, listen, as someone that is 2 for 2 against the marquee, once 12 years ago in WFAN and once 5 years ago on a rock.
Oh, really? You won twice, once on FAN and once here. Okay.
Played twice in my life. I'm 2-0, and I've, that's not about me, but I'm just saying I do understand the frustration of the callers. I've always made a conscious decision to sit out. I think once you win, it's a great trip. You should sit out. But, I don't want to blame the guys. I follow you all the time throughout the year, and I've heard what's going on. But I definitely think that I can tell with some of the questions, even not going to mention some of them. There was actually one that you guys had wrong this year.
Which one was that? We usually are pretty good.
There was one that you guys were really shaky with, and if you research it with the ACC, that was a bad. I'm just happy that didn't cost anybody a trip.
That's the Russell Wilson one?
That is absolutely incorrect because Brad Johnson was the first one because he.
Yeah, but Florida State was not in the ACC at the time.
That's not true. See, that's where your guys did a really, really bad job because Florida State joined the ACC in the 1990 season, and Brad Johnson played. He's a senior. So you guys did. All
right. Well, then we stand corrected on that. We'd have to have we double check that, and I'll have Bill double check. I'll have Bill double. I mean, listen, you might be right.
Yeah.
No, hold on now. ACC 1991, July 19th. July 19th. Oh, July 91. July 9th. So there you go, Chris. You're wrong. July 91, Florida State ACC. Brad Johnson ACC 1990, Florida State.
Well,
no, Chris, you're wrong. Ace, we just looked it up. Double check it, Eddie, for me, please. Okay, ACC, Florida State was admitted in 1991. Brad Johnson played at Florida State in 1990. The question was the only Super Bowl quarterback who played collegiately in the ACC. Russell Wilson had the 1 year at NC State before he went to Wisconsin. Now, Chris calls up and said we're wrong because Johnson played 1 year in the ACC while at Florida State. We are double-checking that. Bill's not here to do it. I'm having Eddie do it. It appears, at least on first glance, that Bill was accurate with the question. We will double-check it, and I'll do that as we move it along here when Eddie gets it all, and he can call Bill to double-check it, too. Here is Joe in Connecticut. He's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Joe, good afternoon. How are you today?
Good, Chris. How are you doing?
Fine, Joe. Thank you. What's happening now?
Good. Just by coincidence, that song you played by Bob Seger, that was in the movie Mask with Cher and...
that was a very good movie. With Cher. Excellent film. Yes, it was.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sam Elliott, I think, was in it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Sam Elliott.
Yeah, your man Springsteen wouldn't let his music go into that movie. That's why they had to go to Bob Seger instead.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah, I forgot the exact issue or why it came up, but for some reason he was blocking his music from being used because that's the music they wanted to use in that movie. But it never happened.
What year did that movie come out?
87, I think.
87. Okay. Go ahead. Next.
Well, hopefully I'm not being redundant, but I missed a couple of days. But I don't think there's any way possible that woman Lee could have gotten those two answers, Hank Stram and Terrence Mathis, unless she had the questions ahead of time. It is simply not possible.
I am puzzled. I don't know how that person got that either. That is part of the mob, Joe. So I am puzzled by that. I wish I had the answer for you. Eddie, did we clarify this Brad Johnson thing?
I've looked three different sources. It says July 1st, 1991, the FSU-ACC marriage was consummated.
All right, and how about Johnson at FSU? We got to double check when and make sure it was 1990. That was his last year at Florida State. If we do that, we'll confirm it, and we will support Bill in his question because we knew that was a hard question, and nobody got it. But as it turns out, Chrissy, that's where sometimes people yelled and screamed at us about about the Texans question. Yelled and screamed about you're wrong. Nobody else coached. It was Dallas Texans. Stram, AFL. Down in front of the arrow, we continue. Mad Dog Unleashed.